This is Stephanie at High Tower Stitching, back with part 2 of finding the stars in the tumbling blocks. I'm getting ready to sew, and I'm going to show you 3 different parts to getting this block, which is like a hexagon, finished. And you can see I've got my stack of 6 pieces for each one of my stars, and I have a nice set of the cream already finished. I actually have put them in 6s, and I have drawn lines around mine. I had my marks on the corners, and this is a nice long stretch. So instead of worrying about getting from here to there, I just said I'm just going to go ahead and put my line and enjoy that. And I just did that with the mechanical pencil. So I just put those off to the side. And what I'm going to start with, which was based on, you remember this template that we had, and we'd poke the little holes in the corner. Okay, this is going to be the star. And the first thing that I've done is I pinned it together. And you may pin it more than once. And you can see I have my points where I want to start and stop. You can call this dot to dot or start and stop, anything you want to, but all I'm going to cover is right that first piece right there. And if you look at the way this is sitting, well, I'm not going to open it up yet, but you'll see that these are the points for your stars. I've got 2 pieces together. So I've already pulled up. I've got a knot on the back, and I actually have just run the needle back through there about twice because I want that to be nice and secure for when I start working. One thing yesterday, when I did my pieces, I laid them all the same way on the fabric. I laid them along the edge of the selvage because I wanted the grain to go the same way. And this means that this is not going to move. If you pull on it, it's not going there. But when you turn it, you'll find that the next part does. So there is some bias in this, and so you don't press things real hard and iron them. You just want to press down on them. So I'm actually going to get started. All right, and I'm using white thread on this just so that you can see it. I've got a nice sharp needle. This is a bigger needle than I use, but that doesn't matter. It's nice and sharp. And I'm going to go down in. I'm going to do running stitch across. Now, it just should make sense that the nicer stitches you do all the way across, and you can get 3 or 4 on your needle, maybe not at first, and then pull it through. Now, don't leave it gathered. You want to take and smooth it out. And from here, those look kind of big, but they really should be small. And then you come in and you do your next set till you get all the way over to the edge. Took my glasses off. It was a little bit too close with the camera, but I wanted you to be able to see where I was going to go. Okay. And now when I get right here to that point, that's where I want to stop. And you can see if you're a beginning sewer, or if you've sewn at all, any kind of running stitches or anything, yours will be neater than this because I can't really see it except through the camera. Now I'm going to take it at that stop point. I'm going to take and run this through about 2 times. And that usually secures that really good. And then I'm going to cut. All right, when I move my pen, we should see a part of the star. Here we go. And there we have the first 2 points. And there are a lot of ways that you can do this. You can do this where you run and you do all 6 of them all the way around and just connect them to each other. But the way that I found that I liked with this one was to sew 3 on. So I would take and do half of the star and then start over and do the other 3. And I'll show you how that'll look in just a second. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and line these up. Now I have a pretty good idea where those are going to be. But I'm going to pin it, and I do this anyway. I pin it. I'm going to pin through that black dot, and I'm going to find where my stitches stop on that one. And you might find the dot on the back, but you can just do it from the front and slide that pin in there, because the thing is, you want to have a pretty center for your star. And then I'm just going to tilt this back towards me so it's in place. And then I'm going to go across here, and there's my next dot. And the thing is, even sometimes when I cut, I had extra material. It's funny they get off, because I did cut some of these things in layers, and you can take and you can look under there and see there's that one dot. Then there's that one, and I'm going to pin through there. But because this one is another triangle right here, and this one I didn't draw the line on yet, but when I look through, that's very close. I mean, those are very good. And if they're not, you can just sort of move them around. The main thing is that the dots match, not necessarily the sides. Then I'm ready to go down with my knot and pull up. Well, I didn't put a knot in it, okay? But the idea is you go down there, you go through it a couple times, and then you go across and you stop with that one. And that'll give you a 3-piece, which I'm going to show you right now. So that was one part, was putting your star together, the first part of your star. Now, I have both. I have 3 on this side, and I have 3 on this side. You know, and I've told you before that I'm one of those people, I like to open my seams. You can press them to one side the way they want to lay, or you can press them open. And these are just finger pressed, which is really nice. And you can do a whole section with just finger pressing, and then it makes it easy when you get ready to go press with your iron. And so here you can see I lined everything up. Now this one I usually line up from the middle, and I'll take another pin and I'll go in where the very point is on that one, and I'll look and get it to coordinate with that point on the back side, and then pin it like I did the other. And it sounds like a lot of pinning, but it makes everything lay so nice. And I think that's why people who have hand stitched for a long time like to go back to hand stitching, because you get you can make the fabric sort of do what you want it to do and fit. This can be done on the sewing machine, but it was sort of like the last option was on the sewing machine. And you can see I've started over here on the right hand side, and I've sewn towards the center because I wanted to go all the way across. You can start in the center and go out and then turn it over and sew out the other way, but you get pretty good, and you can just do it that way. And there again, hopefully you can see the black thread, and you can see I've done some nicer stitches because I could see it without the camera. And then when you always sort of check the back, make sure that you're catching enough material, because nothing's worse than going all the way and thinking you've done a really nice job of sewing the line, and then when you open the fabric, like if I was to pull some of these pins out to look at it, and you see that you've got holes in that seam. Well, if you look at that one that I've done, I can't see any holes in that. So you don't do that all the time, because you pretty much will get a really good idea whether you've got some nice tight stitches with that. And the thread, you can use a double thread if you don't think it's very strong. And I was doing that for you on this one, and then, or you can use a single thread if it's strong. Okay, that's number 2. We've put the star pieces together. We've made them into halves. We've sewed the halves together, and magically, we have this beautiful star. And you know what? It's almost like, oh, I just want to stop. That's so pretty. I don't know how it can get any better. And here again, I've opened my back on my things, my seams, because for me, whether I finish it on the sewing machine, quilt it, or hand quilt it, I love the feel of it being just nice and flat. You can't always do that with things, but this one works. So now we're going to go to the next part, and this is adding. And you're going to learn from my mistakes or my experience here, because again, I took and I laid it on there, and I took and pinned that dot into the dot on the back that was from the first time. All right. And then I'm going to take and put another pin to line this up so I don't have to worry about it. Now this is funny because I've actually 3 times done the wrong thing since I made 19 of these so far. And it's funny, you need to have a little pair of scissors there so you can do some trim out. Cut threads if necessary. But I'm going to start out here at the point, and I'm going to travel down into the star down there. I'm going to do the same thing we've done before. I'm going to take and I'm going to start, and this time I do have a knot. Yes, I do. And do it about once or twice and when you feel like it's really secure on that corner. All right, and I'm going to sew all the way down to that dot. These are going to be a little bigger than normal, but we're just going to get down there because I want to show you how to turn the corner. Patience here. And I want to show you how to cut off some of the little puppy ears or little tags that are out on the end. That one I got a lot of stitches just because I'm trying to get there. Okay, now I'm going to get to this place, and I'm going to, again, I'm going to secure it. I'm not going to cut it off now. I'm just going to secure it because I want to turn the corner. And now took out all my pins. I've got down to that corner. I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn the 2 pieces so that the next part, so it comes right up there. That's really nice. And then I'm going to smooth this and usually I fold this back towards my other hand because I don't need to catch it. And I'm going to start again, and again I'm going to do a back stitch. Technical here, a back stitch. And I'm going to go all the way down here to the end, and I'm going to stop with a back stitch, and I'm going to cut off. Now I have finally gotten where I can actually put this piece on. I can take and turn the corner and then add the next piece on, and that's sort of fun now because then I just keep going and don't have to knot off. But I wouldn't worry about that if I was you. I just want you to know it can be done, and you go down through there. So I'm gonna hook this in here. Now if you go back to, where am I? Okay, here's where I started. You see these little tags out here. This one I've already sort of trimmed. Well, once you know where your knot is and where your point is there, you can cut that off as you're going instead of having to do it all at one time. And don't want to necessarily get too close, but you want to take off part of that point, and then that'll be gone. Now I want to show you what I've got laid out in the other room. Okay, and this is just the end to show what I've gotten done. Take, for example, this is one that's got the 6 pieces in it. I did 3 at a time, sewed those together. Then I went around and added this. Now, this is what's neat, is if you've got this going really good, you've been doing your dot to dot or start to stop, look at the edges right there and look at the fabric that's out there. There's about 1/4 of an inch on each side, and that's going to be important because when you get ready to put these together, you're going to lay them like that, and look, your 1/4 inch is going to match. So when you get ready to sew it together and you fold it over, this one And see, you've already got these nice, because you've done them on your cream material, you've already got those dots in place. It's going to make it so easy. It's a matter of pinning right there and then just sewing it all the way down. And this may not be the way I do it at the end, but I've said this several times. It's really neat when you get it and you start laying your pieces out. But look how the red's dominant. This time the red overpowers the yellow. So I can get by with more yellow in this one. And you say, well, you can't really tell much. And the funniest thing is, you have it looking like this. When you start sewing it together, you're going to be surprised at how beautiful it is. Somebody, had to be my husband, told me, he said, well, wait till you get it sewed together and you'll see if you like it. So this is Stephanie at Hightower Stitching. I hope you enjoyed this. I can't wait to get some more of these done so I can get that top put together and decide whether I'm going to hand stitch it or machine quilt it. If you enjoyed this and learned anything, please subscribe and hit like. Comments, questions, please send those to me too. Thank you.